We will begin the regular press conference by Foreign Minister Motegi. Please go ahead. I have one point to make. This is not about the presidential election for the LDP, but with regards to the resumption of international travel. We've been consulting with respective countries and regions on resumption of international travel. 2 weeks ago, I visited Malaysia, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. And when I visited these countries, we reached an agreement to launch the residence track that enables expatriates and others with resident status for long-term stay with those countries in early September. And based upon those agreements, we have been working out the details. And for Malaysia, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, for these 4 nations, decision has been made to begin this residence track on the 8th of this month. And for Taiwan as well, we have continued our consultations. And similarly, decision has been made to launch the residence track for Taiwan on the 8th of September. Further, in order to cater to the needs of short-term business travelers, we are thinking of beginning the business track that enables limited business activities during the period of standby at home. And we will continue our coordination with various countries and regions, including these countries and regions that I've mentioned, for early launch of operations. Please check the Secretariat for details. But already, with Vietnam and Thailand, since last month, the arrangement has begun. But for Myanmar, Malaysia, Cambodia, and Laos, and for Taiwan, we've decided to begin the residence track from 8th of September. That's it from me.
And please raise your hand if you have a question, and if you are called upon, proceed to the microphone and make a question. Ishinobe of Sankei Shimbun. Now, with regard to the latest announcement, there's going to be the resumption of cross-border travels, and starting with the business track. And would you please elaborate on the significance of this resumption? I think looking around the world, that this COVID-19 response measures are in place, and in order to prevent the spread and try to deal with it is an important task. Currently, looking around the world economy, which has made the worst made a dip, and in light of this, Japanese economy is going to suffer similar to that of Lehman shock. Looking around the United States and Europe, according to the IMF and data compared to the previous outlook, minus 10% decline. Brazil and India, the similar situation. Therefore, if you take a look at the around the world, the situation remains the same. Therefore, it is extremely important for the protecting the public life and people's life to make a good recovery of economy. Therefore, how to balance economic recovery as well as responses against COVID-19 remains an important task. Therefore, as has been mentioned, a series of defensive measures, including the trade measures, and we are going to add some measures so that the cross-border travels can be reopened. That means we are going to resume business operations as well as the prevention of the spread of COVID-19. Economic recovery should be prioritized when it comes to the matter of cross-border travels. Therefore, the residence and track for the expats, or the business and tracks for business people. Now, those 2 tracks are going to be started soon. And in the second stage, we are going to deal with the international students. And at the end of the day, all those travelers are going to be covered. As I mentioned earlier, the balancing economic recovery as well as COVID-19 prevention. So this is going to be the procedure we are going to go through. Therefore, with those measures in place, most likely here in Japan as well, for instance, the foreign affiliated companies and their activities are going to be activated. And when it comes to mutual investment operations, they have been suspended, but they are going to be resumed.
Next question, please. Yamamoto-san. NHK Yamamoto. My question is on the EPA with the United Kingdom. At the working level, coordination is proceeding. On the 17th, the new prime minister will be elected after the presidential election of the party. Is it your intention to complete the agreement in principle before the next administration comes into power, or you're not particular about the timing? Well, the presidential election will be conducted sometime after tomorrow. The current administration will continue until the new administration comes into power. As far as the Japan-UK EPA is concerned, in early August, I reached an agreement with Secretary Truss for international trade, and substantive agreement was reached in most of the areas, and we agreed and reached a common understanding on main points, and coordination at the working level is proceeding. Our target is to reach agreement in principle by the end of August. Of course, this is a negotiation. There could be some delay in the matter of days or a few weeks, but we want to proceed as soon as possible, and if possible, we hope to achieve the agreement in principle by the end of this administration. Thank you.
IWJ Mitarai. Thank you. A related question to the previous one. It is EPA between the UK and Japan. Currently, now, the minister was talking about the basic agreement, and within that agreement, that would have a lot of impact on the sovereignty, that the release and opening of the prohibition of algorithms. I think there should be a very cautious approach to be taken. There should not be a quick decision to be made on this topic. And so, within the government, I think you were talking about a possible agreement, basically, but the information should be disclosed widely, and so that the wide discussion should form the basis for the final conclusion. Now, prior to the basic agreement, the content of the negotiation, when it comes to any specifics, we do not disclose the specifics, and that is the established international rule. Therefore, I would not be able to touch upon any specifics and details. But electronic, the transaction or digital areas and domains, there should be a high-level agreement should be established. And this is one of the goals that we are pursuing in this negotiation. The free flow of data, and on the other hand, there should be the individual rights and should be protected, and such information should be protected securely. And for that to be achieved, what measures are necessary? And we are going to take them into consideration. I think TPP 11, as well as the trade agreement between Japan and the United States, and through these negotiations, I think this discussion has made good progress from the international point of view. Therefore, this kind of international standard is going to be applied, and a higher level is going to be achieved in this negotiation. And it is not included in your statement, Mr. Minister. I think when it comes to the investment, including stocks, algorithm is made rather problematic. System-wise, the computer is so quick in making transactions. Therefore, this kind of a system has to be, the government has to put some restrictions on this kind of a transaction. Otherwise, Japan is going to be a target of prey by foreign operators. I think I do recognize the problems that are involved, and with that in mind, we are in negotiation.
Are there other questions? Oyabu-san, please. Yomiuri newspaper, Oyabu. I have a question on the LDP president election. Last week on Friday, you, Minister, said that you would like to think about your response by discussing with colleagues. And within the Takeshita faction to which you belong, I think there are those who view that you should become a candidate. What's your view? Can you remind us once again your opinion? On LDP presidential election at the General Affairs Committee of the LDP, in what form will the election take place? And what kind of a schedule should we be proceeding? Those decisions are most likely to be made at that meeting by mid-July or middle of the month. We think that the new president will be elected. I think that's the direction of the conversation. Your question was on my response to the election of president of LDP. Yesterday morning, our group's board members got together and a general meeting also took place. And at the general session, there were various requests, including requests regarding myself, and various opinions were raised, no doubt about that. At the same time, as you are aware, there are many actions that have begun towards the presidential election, and I personally am fully in close contact with my colleagues, and within the LDP, I day in, day out, contact members outside of the faction I belong to as well. So I want to come up with a conclusion as early as possible, so at the latest within 24 hours.
No questions. The press conference is over. Thank you.